of complementary color, grade down color a little bit more, so that things then can recede where they need to.
Cool. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I just turned the recording on, so
Okay.
you can get all of that.
So, okay.
Somebody else just came in.
Yep.
It's me,
And who's me?
Terry. I'm trying to change my name again. I don't know why it keeps coming back. iPad.
Okay, Mary Vihan's here.
Oh, Mary's here? Okay. And who's the other one? That just-
Terry.
Terry?
Okay.
Or Teresa?
Teresa, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have Beth?
I don't see Beth here. I don't see Julie here. and I
Beth is
don't-
here.
Oh, Beth is here.
Yes, she is.
Morning, Beth.
Good morning.
And we're waiting for Denise, Julie, and Grace.
Oh, that's good.
Well, we're out of April, so we're fairly safe from having snow again.
I don't know about that.
Well, we have had snow in May here once that I can remember.
Yeah, well, I'm north of Milwaukee, so we still get snow in May.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you will.
Yeah,
Where are you north of Milwaukee?
in Fox Point, not just 15 minutes north of
Oh,
it.
okay.
Dale, do we also use the burnt sienna, I believe?
Yes, we're using the burnt sienna. We're using cadmium yellow medium, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, and sap green.
Yeah, okay.
So
Thank
we're using the same colors as we did last week, but you'll see that mixing the colors, you can do a lot of different scenes with those particular colors with different color genres on it.
Yeah, yeah. I would like to see sometimes how you change colors, because I don't see it, and maybe I get a little bit easier with that, and how you take it with the pencil from your palette.
I don't quite understand what you mean actually.
Well, when you take, you say, oh, you take whatever, cobalt blue, and then you mix a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Do you? And I'm not sure if you use the same brush to just get that paint. I would like to see how you do that.
Yes, I use the same brush. I don't rinse it out. And I go for the next color, dipping into that color, and I mix. The more you rinse your brush out with the water, the more you dilute the color, and you won't get the intensity or the strength or the value.
I think she thinks you use
Right.
a brush to put the paint on the tray and use another brush. To
Oh,
put the
That's correct. That's correct.
No, I use the same brush.
So I mean, I have this one yellow that looks like yellow and green and whatever have you. You know, it has all kinds of colors in my tray. Is that okay?
It should be just the yellow
Yeah,
that.
but no, when she dips in from, let's
Oh.
say she dips in a sap green and then dips into her yellow, now it's been contaminated with the.
You don't have to worry about contamination too much. This is my palette, and these are the colors that we're using today. Here, 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 and here, and then over here, and then up here. You
But
can
look
see
how
that.
one has.
You can see that there's other color in here occasionally.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I before I start painting, I do kind of clean it out a little bit so that I don't have a foreign color coming into something I don't want it. But I
Yeah.
always put down fresh color every time I start painting.
But you use the same space.
Yes, I do. I always tell the students it's like a typewriter. You don't want to change the keys on the typewriter every time you start typing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little bit foreign with that part, but
That's
I will
all right.
get them. I will get them.
That's all right. We all had to learn.
And I also feel like I don't have the correct brushes. I want other brushes.
So what kind? You want to hold up your brushes for Dale and let him see?
This
Well,
one,
let me-
this is what I got. This is what I have. So it looks like last time I saw another brush, but I kind of like.
Okay.
Oh,
Those brushes are fine. Let me hold up mine.
Okay, now let me unspotlight her.
I use about 5 brushes okay? I have
Oh.
a 1-inch flat brush, okay?
Yeah,
And that was always my go-to brush for big washes. I
okay.
have bigger brushes for bigger paintings, but now I'm using these 3 brushes a lot. These are cat tongue brushes,
What do
and
you call them?
this
Cat-
is
Cat tongue.
cat tongue.
Ah, I
They're
see.
shaped like a cat tongue. This I
Oh,
can
I
do the
see.
same work as the flat brush.
Yeah, all
I
right.
do use the flat brush quite a
But
bit,
you can get a point with the flat.
but I
Yeah.
can use the cat tongue and I can paint this way with it or
Yeah.
that way with it. And
Yeah.
I have a number 12, a number 8, and I think this is a number 4
Okay.
cat tongue brush. But really, what you need, what you're holding up a number 10 round, a flat brush, and I also have a number 5 round that is about like this. So when
Okay.
I'm painting, I'm using 9 times out of 10 just 5 brushes.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
And
And-
9 times out of 10 of that, I'm using these 2 brushes the most. These 2 here.
Oh, see, yeah, okay.
So I'm
Okay.
blocking it in from large to small, which means you're using your large brush to your small brushes.
Okay. Okay. Well,
But
that's
the more brushes you have out, the more confusing it gets. It's like if you have too many colors on your palette, the more confusing it gets. So that's why I'm staying with somewhat of a short palette. I never use more than 6 or 7 colors when I'm painting, and I try not to have it confusing for the students, especially new students, because the more you have, the more problems we'll have.
right, right. I understand that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that helps me a little bit more to understand what
Okay.
I'm doing. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to take one more roll call here. What time do we have?
It's 10:37.
10:37. Okay. Is Denise here? No. Was waiting for Grace and Denise at this point, and I have a feeling
They're not here.
they're not going to be here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. You can put this on the table back
Okay,
there.
I'm gonna mute everybody, but unmute when you wanna ask a question. Okay,
All right, let's get started. Everybody can see what I have here. When I'm doing a pencil drawing of the subject matter, I try to limit the amount of work on the paper unless it's a portrait or something very architectural that's detailed. But I'm putting down just masses. You do the rest of your work with the brush. So you have to get kind of used to handling all these small things with the brush, because once you start painting, the biggest thing that happens right away is that you lose your drawing. It was something that I had to get used to as a student 40 years ago, about losing the drawing. So I had to be very careful about what I put down, and it's always big masses, a couple of secondary things, and that's it. So you can always work with the brush on top of things to put in the smaller details, and how much you put in is very important, because details will never appear in your background. They'll always appear on and around your focal point, which in this case it's this area here, along with the reflection of some of the water down here. But omitting things such as the rocks in the corner, they're not needed. In fact, they're a distraction to the composition. So on how I placed this, I made sure that I placed it so that the horizon line is below the halfway point. You never want to put it through the middle. You're always above or below the halfway point, because it will divide your composition in half. So why don't we get started here? And I'm going to be working with the big brush first, and I'm going to work wet pigment on dry pavement. I'm not going to wet the paper this particular time because I feel that I would have a little bit better control with the subject matter. So I'm taking the cobalt blue, the only new color that I'm using this week as compared to last week. Last week we used the raw sienna. This week we're using the yellow medium. So I'm taking a cobalt blue, and I'm going to take a little bit of the green, not much. As you can see, it's like, looks like a blue green, and I'm using just a touch of the burnt sienna. And usually what I'll do is I'll put it over here so that I can see how much I had on my brush. I don't want a lot. And I'm going to start painting the sky very, very light, like so. I don't worry about where it goes, and I know you'll feel like you're out of control, but that's okay. So I have kind of a greenish grayed down sky, and you have to remember that this is going to dry lighter by a large comparison, and I'm going to add a little bit more blue to this as I go into the foliage. And I'm washing right through a lot of what's going on.
Which blue?
I'm using the cobalt blue. Thank you for reminding me. So I'm using blue in the background, back here a little bit more stronger.
And you mix the blue, the cobalt blue?
The blue I mixed right in with what I did mix here with the sky. Okay, so
yeah, but mix the cobalt blue with the green?
Right in with the green and a little bit of the burnt sienna, so that what happens is that I'm creating a little bit better color harmony. I don't like to separate one color from another. They have to relate to a certain extent. So I'm going to go in and take a little bit of the green again, like so. Not a lot. This is kind of a light and airy subject matter, and I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow medium, like so. So I have kind of a yellow-green here, and I'm going to put that up on the shoreline, because we have to have a little bit of relationship and allow things to blend together. I'm going to go across the shore in the background, and then I'm going to come and I'm going to bring it right down into the river. Now, when you have a reflection, the reflection goes down and the movement of the water goes across. So I'm going to take the cobalt blue again, a little bit, and I'm working very, very lightly. And I'm going to paint the river back here. I'm going to come down into the river here, like so. So everything is kind of reflecting down. Then I'm going to take the sap green again with a little bit of the burnt sienna that I have here and some of the ultramarine blue. So I get kind of a nice greenish gray, and I'm going to paint right up against this part of the river here. So this is reflecting here, and then I'm painting this down into here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to spray it just a little bit so that it flows. And if we're painting from light to dark, I could put darks right over this, and I'm allowing streaks of light to come through here and some streaks of light to come through here. So what we've done initially is I started off with the sky with the cobalt blue, a little bit of the green, and a touch of the burnt sienna, very, very light. I mean, I used a lot of water with this up in here. Then I added more of the cobalt blue into the trees here, much more cobalt blue back here because I wanted it cooler and falling back. Then I added the green to it with a little bit of the yellow, allowed that to wash down the entire part of the bank here into the water. Then I added burnt sienna to that combination with ultramarine blue, and then across through here. So I broke it down into sky covering the trees, the bank of the river, and the water. That's all you're really concerned about. very, very simple beginning usually allows you to divide and conquer later. So I didn't commit myself too far to any one thing.
My color is just so much darker than yours.
Which color are you talking about?
The cobalt blue and the green, I mean, I did not put anything on paper yet. It is way too dark.
Well, the cobalt blue is, do you have cobalt blue or cobalt hue? It's the same color but two different values. What does it say on the two?
Cobalt blue.
Okay. The cobalt blue should be much lighter, so you need to add more water to it. So when I'm added a lot of water to all of this right now so that everything here is very, very light.
Dale,
Yes,
what brush are you using with this?
I used just this large cat tongue brush, a number 12. So I'm always using the large brush to the small brush. But what you're trying to do is to get a light imprint of the total image without anything being too distinct at this point. And every composition is always a little bit different. Every subject you treat is always a little bit different. I'm going to take this down just for a second to take a picture.
Dale, do you have any color on the right upper corner yet?
Here, yes, it's very, very light green.
On the upper corner, on the upper right.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh.
this was the cobalt blue, a little bit of the green, and a touch of the burnt sienna with a lot of water, to where if I take a paper towel, white paper towel, can you see how much color is there?
And nothing.
There's a lot of color on this compared to the white paper towel.
Oh,
But it's very, very light.
yeah.
But I have covered the whole paper with
With something.
color, yes.
I see.
And Dale, the green, the yellow green, you actually added yellow to the green?
Yes, I did add yellow to the green in here, washed it down, and then as I let it dry down, I added a little bit of burnt sienna and ultramarine blue to that green for the start of the reflection down here. Grace, you're here.
I'm here. I'm just getting set up.
Okay. I can't see you though.
I know I'm moving around. I hope you got my email that I was going to be here late.
I missed it. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry. I didn't want you to
That's all
wonder.
right.
where-
You're
Okay.
fine.
I'm going to keep setting up. All right.
Dale, what was in the middle again?
Yes.
You have more green.
Pardon again? Say that?
In the middle, you have more green.
I have more yellow green in here, yes.
So you added what to the blues?
I added the sap green together to the yellow medium and a little bit of the cobalt blue in here. But I added a lot of water, so I dipped in, got more water on my palette here, and I added more water.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm a little generous on the paint and not so much on the water. So I'm trying.
That's all right. There always is a learning curve, so don't feel bad.
Oh, no, I'm not feeling bad.
But getting the values and the colors very light here will allow the light to come through later on when I start putting in these trees and dry brushing across so that you'll see that light illuminate through.
And then on the bottom part, you added more,
Down here in the water,
yeah?
I added a little bit of burnt sienna and ultramarine to the mixture that I used up here on the island
Mm.
or the bank.
You added,
A little bit more, I added a little bit of ultramarine and a little bit of burnt sienna.
burnt sienna and.
I mean, just a tiny bit.
Yeah, okay.
Is there a touch of light yellow above the blue, or is that all just blue and darker blue?
Here,
Yes.
for the sky, I used the cobalt blue, the sap green, and just a touch of the burnt sienna to gray it. So when you're
Okay.
looking at it, as far as what's compared to white paper,
Okay.
if you can see this, let's bring it up here like this. See the white paper?
Yeah.
So
light gray.
it's got a dominance of a blue-green in it with a touch of that burnt sienna. And the burnt sienna is considered a red, and red is the complement of green, which will gray it down
Okay. All righty. Thank you.
or make it tone down. But keep your washes very simple. Don't try to overwork it, and just let it flow by itself.
Yeah, I think I got rid of my water. Um, the, can I show it quickly to you?
Okay. Yeah, you use too much gray color down here.
Yeah, I
See
went
if,
to,
see if you can spray that with water and pull up some of it.
um, and then with a paper towel or,
Paper towel or sponge, clean sponge. Because what I did here is I allowed a movement from the bank of the land here and allowed the green to show here, and then I started maybe 1.5 inches down from that line, and I allowed this to be kind of a grayish green down here.
I got a little bit too excited, I guess.
If anybody's ready to show me what they have, I'll take a peek.
I can show you mine. It got a little washed out, but it's good.
Okay, who's talking? I'm sorry.
Terry,
All right, let me get down. Okay, I see you now. I've got a slide rule of people here, and I got to find out who's talking.
oh, all right.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's any variance of what's going on up here. It's not maybe going to look the same, but you have what you need.
Right.
Deborah, how you doing? Okay, that's fine. It's just a matter of getting a base on here. That's all it is. Good. Julie, how are you doing? Okay, that's fine. Good.
Can I show it one more time, Dale? Mariana here.
For a nickel.
Okay.
All right, that's fine. That's much better. You don't want anything heavy in color or value showing up at this stage in this particular instance.
Okay, so I should,
You're fine. Leave it alone. Don't touch it.
okay,
Otherwise, I'll have to send a report card to your mom and dad, and then they have to report back.
okay.
Vanessa, that's good.
Great.
That's where you want to be. Wonderful. Linda, how are you doing?
I think I'm okay.
Yes, you're fine.
Yeah.
The whole thing at this point, in this particular instance with this subject matter, you don't want to commit yourself in any one direction at this point. And
Okay.
you've got a good base there. You're fine.
Okay, thanks.
Donna, how are you doing? I lost you for a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. Pull it back a little bit so I can see the whole painting, Donna. And then down a little bit. Pull it, move your camera up or move the painting down. A little bit more. Okay, you're starting to add too many things into the water there. Am I looking at that right, or is that upside down? Oh, I see it. Okay, you're fine. Okay. All right, let me go back up to Pat. Can I see what you have, please?
Yeah, I kind of lost a little bit of the dark. I lost myself too.
Okay, that's fine. If you haven't gone dark enough, we'll get dark enough later on. It's the thing is not to go too dark too quick.
Well, I definitely didn't do that.
Okay, Janet, how are you doing? Okay, that's fine. Good. Mary. Yep, that's where you want to be, dear. Good. And Beth, how are you doing? Okay, good. You're fine. Terry?
I'm good. That's the one I showed you. Yep.
Okay. And Deborah, did I check yours? Deborah?
Yes. You want to see it again?
Yeah, just for a second, if you don't mind. Okay, good. All right, you're fine. And Julie?
I'm not. You cold?
Okay, you're fine. And Grace? Not ready? Can't hear a word you're saying, dear.
I'm sorry, I'm still catching up. I'm just getting,
Okay.
there's nothing on my paper
Do
yet.
you mind if I go ahead?
Oh, please do. Please do.
Okay.
I'll catch up.
All right. All right, here we go. We're going to start again. All right. I'm going to go to my next largest brush, which is the number 8 cat tongue. And I am going to take, and the sky I'm going to do nothing else with because that's set. And I'm going to be taking a little bit of the green here, not too much. And I'm going to take a little bit of the cobalt blue, and I'm going to mix it in here. And I want to get a little bit more blue, and I'm using the cobalt blue because it is a cooler blue for the background on the farthest bank back. And I'm using a lot of water in this case so that we have, you can see that it's just falling down. There's quite a bit of water on this. And I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to kind of tap off a little bit of the excess so that I can dry brush on this. And what you're seeing here, if you could see this up close, it's allowing the color that I had down originally to show through here and there. So, and I'm not over mixing the colors, so you can see there's a little bit more yellow here, a little bit more blue there. So don't over mix your color. And I'm going to continue dry brushing this. Up on top, it has a little bit more warmth to it. And as I go down, I'm going to add a little bit more blue. So this has a very, very light look to it. Now I'm going to add a little bit more cobalt blue, not much. And I'm going to add more blue down at the bottom. So it gets cooler as it's receiving less light. And I'm going to take the toothbrush with some of this on here, and I'm going to spray this a little bit in here so it becomes heavier. And then I'll take the brush and I'll manipulate it down to the shoreline here. And I'm going to take a little bit of that greenish color I have on here, and I'm going to add that in down at the bottom a little bit. And while that's wet, I'm going to take my small brush with a little bit of blue while it's wet. So I have a little bit more cobalt blue here. And I'm going to very lightly put in the trees that are back here, because timing is of the essence in watercolor. And I'm doing this now because I can signify some of the trees, but yet most of them will disappear or soften. So you see a little bit of the trees going on up there. I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow, mix it in right with the same color I did before, and I'm going to add some of that color to the bank and the river back here. And very casually, not something that is too distinct. I don't want it too bright. I want it just to stay back there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the smaller cat tongue at this point, and I'm going to add a little bit of the sap green, a touch of the burnt sienna, as you can see here, and a little bit of the ultramarine blue. So it gets kind of a darker blue look to it. And I'm going to be painting this color here, which is a little bit warmer, and I'm dry brushing it into this area here in the background. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to this. Tap it off on my paper towel. And I'm going to continue painting to get this a little bit darker look to it. I'm going to add a little bit more of the ultramarine blue as I move down the tree because it gets cooler and a little bit darker. And a little bit more solid looking because it's getting less light. And I bring it right down like this. Then I'm going to add a little bit more cobalt blue to it, to the same mixture, like so. Going to take a little bit of the burnt sienna that I had over in the corner, add that to it, and I'm going to begin painting a little bit darker as I move into the bottom of the trees here. And then I'm going to take the cobalt blue from over here, and I'm going to mix that, and I'm going to have big sweeping movements up here. Very dry on the brush. Then I'm going to wet the brush a little bit. So this is the second foundation for the massive trees, and I'm paying attention to the base of the land here so that I have a little bit more movement up in here. It doesn't come down straight. So I'm adding various colors up in here dry, and you'll see what I do with it next. And I'm going to add a little bit more blue as I go off to the left of the land. And very, very casually, then I'm going to take the toothbrush with the same colors, and I'm going to then give it a little bit more personality. I'm taking a little bit more cobalt blue, and I'm going to take and spray this onto the wet paint. I'm going to wait till this stops running here a little bit. And I'm going to simply add a little bit more yellow to it in one place over here, because I got a little bit more yellow here showing. Catch that dot of color. And a little bit more yellow in here. So I'm carrying it across a little bit. Then I'm going to take my small brush again and kind of balance this off a little bit, catch some of the drips. And the last thing I'm going to do, so that we don't run too far ahead, is I'm going to take the ultramarine blue, because there is a dark patch right in here. So I'm taking a lot of ultramarine blue with the mixture that I already had on there. And put this down at the base. Going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to this. Putting it down at the base of the trees where it's receiving less light. And we form the trees later on, the individual things, but I'm trying to get the large masses still in place. And the very last thing I'll do is right up against this, I'm going to take the green and a little bit of the yellow, and I'm going to take a little bit of this blue and just move it right over here so it grays it down. So this will gray it down, and I'm going to go right up against those masses of trees, and I'm going to create a softer movement here.
Do you use the cobalt blue or the other one?
I use the ultramarine blue, the darker one. And that comes right down to where the light is out here on the bank of the river, because this is darker, grayer. It's in shadow. And then what I'll do is I will very carefully, quickly clean my palette off, because I want a little bit cleaner color down here. and I'm going to take the yellow medium, and I'm going to take the sap green, just a little bit of it, like so, so it's nice and bright. And I'm going to come right down in here in the light where the island is receiving much more light here. Like so. And that's where I'm going to finish. So, just to review what I did here, I started off with the cobalt blue with a little bit of the green in it and a touch of the burnt sienna, and I dry brushed this whole background, but the predominance of this in here was the cobalt blue. Then while this was still wet, I took my smaller brush and I created the feeling of some of the trees coming up and around, which I'll do that more later. Then I came to this area with the yellow green while this was still wet, and I traveled across through here with the different variances of the green, the ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt sienna, and I made it all dry brush, and then I hit it with the toothbrush with color. Then I came down into here with a green that is kind of grayed down, that's in shadow. Then I came in here with the yellow green across the front where we have a little bit more light. So we have the island or the whatever's going on here blocked in with the background. Nothing was done with the water. We're not concerned about putting trunks of trees in, branches, nothing. It's always large masses to smaller masses.
Yeah, can I show you where I think now I'm going to wait for this to dry so I can catch
Oh,
up?
yes, yes, definitely.
Might be a little bit too light.
It's a little bit on the light side, but you can't go wrong with light at this point. There are times I have told students in the past where I'll tone the whole paper one color, various values, like an earth tone. Leave that dry and then I'll work on top of it so that that is always radiating through in different spots. That's going to happen with yours, which is fine.
I'm going to wait for this to dry and then I'm going to start tackling.
Okay, do you have a hair dryer?
Yeah.
Go ahead and use it. We're going to take this down for a minute, take a picture of it.
Dale, so the area between that yellow green at the in the middle, yeah, what is that? Just
That
a
was-
blending of the two?
That was the sap green with the yellow and a little bit of the ultramarine blue in it, right through this area right here. So that kind of remained in shadow.
Dale, did you do anything to the bottom?
I did nothing down at the bottom, no. I left the water alone. I just wanted to concentrate on this top half with the land.
What have you used on the bottom part towards the water?
Up in here, I grayed down the green with a little bit of the burnt sienna and the ultramarine blue to make it a little bit darker. Then as I came down towards where the water is at, where it's receiving more light, I just used the yellow medium and the cobalt blue to get a little bit brighter, lighter green.
Okay. Cobalt blue and,
Yellow medium.
all right.
Remember, you have to breathe while you're painting and smile. Makes for a much better painting. Everybody has a serious face on there.
You are such a tough teacher.
I know.
Dale, can I show you my painting for a moment?
Yes.
Where I'm at right now? Let me put me on.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Try to keep this area, that dark area, kind of soft up into the trees here. You have a little bit of a harder edge going.
okay. Okay.
Just take a damp brush and kind of soften it just a tad.
Okay.
The longer you can keep your edges soft, the better off you are, because it doesn't allow you to commit any one direction at that point.
Can I show you mine?
Just a minute. Coming back. Okay. Yeah, that's where you want to be. Good. Because we're going to attack the water next.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is it warm out there today, Grace?
Dale, is this? Oh, I'm sorry.
Coming
Very
back.
warm.
Okay, go ahead, Mariana. Yeah, much better.
Okay.
Good. Stop. Put your brush down, your hands in the air. How you doing, Vanessa? Okay, you're good. That's fine. Wonderful. Don't do any more. Linda, are you ready, or you want me to come back to you?
I really have no idea. I'm kind of this is where I am. I'm struggling with where all my colors go.
No, you're actually doing fine. The only thing that you have to look at is getting this area right here, from here to
Yeah.
here. It's about an inch. A little bit more descriptive in darks, and then stop.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. All right.
The idea is not to go too far too fast.
Yeah, I know. I think that's where I was heading. So it's good you stopped me.
Mary, how you doing? Okay, good. That's just where you want to be. I know you want to be in Florida, but you can't be. Pat, how you doing?
I'm not quite down to the lower bank.
Okay, you're almost there though.
Yeah,
You're
I'm getting
fine.
there.
Everything you have is good so far.
Thank you.
Janet, how you doing?
I'm coming up the rear. I'm still on the trees. I just worked left across. Haven't done the banks yet.
Okay, but you're fine so far. Continue on. Very good. And Beth, how you doing?
I don't know. I'm kind of having the issue with the colors as well.
All right, not bad. You're a little dark up in here, Beth, in this area
Yeah,
here.
I agree.
So take it.
Water down right now.
Take a damp brush and pull up some of it. You're fine though otherwise. Terry, how you doing?
Yeah, I think I might have the same problem, a little too dark in that area.
Actually, you're not bad at all.
Okay,
I would leave it right where you're at. Don't play with it.
okay.
Deborah. Okay, good.
Oops.
You're fine. Now remember.
So that,
yeah, go ahead.
that's the water, by the water, it's kind of, I don't know, should it be bleeding into the rest of it?
Yeah, that won't harm anything. You're fine.
Okay.
Julie.
On the next, I got to bring this dark down. It's too high up. So
Yeah, just a little bit more, but everything else is good. You're fine.
Okay.
Donna, you're doing fine. That's good. How you doing, Grace? You coming along? All right. All right. Yeah, you're there. Good. All right. Okay, I'm going to continue at this point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down just for a minute. This will be the first step. I'm going to lay it flat, and I'm going to spray a little bit of water on the top half and just sprinkle it, and I'm going to let it sit there just a minute, and I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to remove some of the paint to create a little bit of texture up there. So it's a matter of leaving it just 10-15 seconds, and then I'm going to take and I'm going to try to lift just a little bit, and it will soften. You can see a little bit's coming up. I'll probably have to do it again, but I just wanted to get that a little bit more texture in there. I'm going to do it one more time, especially in the dark area here. Darks will pick up easier and much more distinct than lights will. And this will break up some of that darkness that was put down, but I wanted to do that just so it breaks up, and I can then use this as a pattern later on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my big brush, my number 12 cat tongue, and I'm going to start from the bank down, including the bank. I'm going to take a little bit of that yellow that we have here and a touch of the green, not a lot, like so. And I'm going to make this a little bit more intense here along the bank, and just kind of casually put it through here. Nothing too distinct. I'm not playing with it too much. And I'm going to bring that up just a little bit to soften that edge. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my middle cat tongue brush, taking the same color and adding just a little bit of cobalt blue to it to slowly tone it down a little bit, make it a little bit darker, a little bit grayer. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in the first part of the reflection of this bank down in here into the water. And very casually, I'm not trying to do too much. I'm going to add a little bit of cobalt to it, and I'm going to go through the background here and add that reflection in. Then I'm going to go darker. So I'm going to take the sap green and I'm going to take the burnt sienna, so we get a little bit warmer, and a touch of the cobalt. over here in this area. I'm not going to mix it all the way across. And I am going to put in the start of the reflection of that dark that's up in here. And I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine to it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to add a lot more burnt sienna to it because it's picking up the warmth of the bottom of the river. And I'm going to paint this down in here. And I'm going to add a little bit more of the ultramarine to it because it's darker over here. And I'm going to spray it just a little bit so that it just drops down with gravity. Like so. And I'm going to take some more burnt sienna, like so, with a little bit of the yellow medium that will warm it up as it comes out into the light here. We got a little bit of that color down here, a little bit there, and like so. So we have the start of that reflection. Now I'm going to take the cobalt blue and I'm going to add it to this color that we already had. So I keep on mixing back and forth here, if you can see that. And I'm going to take this color and I'm going to add it back here across the bank back here. And I'm going to take a little bit more cobalt blue. And I'm going to allow it to drop down, allowing these light holes to show through. I'm going to even this out a little bit more. And a little bit more cobalt. Add it to the reflection back here. Just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with the spray and allow it just to drop to where we have more of a random pattern, and then kind of connect it a little bit here and there so that it doesn't look like it's too contrived. And I'm allowing the light of the first wash to show through. So that's all we're going to do with this step. So I started off with the yellow green up here on the bank. I came down, I added a little bit of the ultramarine blue to it down here where it's reflecting into the water. Then I added the burnt sienna and a little bit more ultramarine blue to the green, and I came across here. This is going to get darker, and I added a lot more burnt sienna in here, and then I started adding more cobalt blue as I came back here because this is reflecting in here. So you have to take this color, gray it down a slight bit, and put it down here, but allow it to show a little bit of that light coming through here and there. And that's all you're going to do. You got 2 minutes, go. Just kidding. And at this point, I'm cleaning off my palette every time. So everything is wiped clean. As you can tell, this is my water. It's not that dirty. You can still see through the water. So I'm not going back to the water a whole lot, if you take note of that. And I'm going to take a picture of this. And I'm going to bring it down for a second. But now the painting is starting to take a little bit more form to it. but yet I haven't got too descriptive about anything, so don't commit yourself too far ahead.
Dale, can I ask again what you used on the left corner, lower corner?
The left lower corner here, I used the burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and the sap green through here. And I started adding more burnt sienna as I went across, where I added more burnt sienna in here with a little bit of the yellow.
Burnt sienna and
Ultramarine blue and sap green.
ultimate and okay, thank
So
you.
the burnt sienna I'm using in many cases, because this is predominantly green, a green painting, I'm using a burnt sienna to grade down a lot of the other colors. In other words, to subdue them somewhat.
Yeah, this is Linda.
Yes.
I've had a major brain cramp. Can you run through those colors through the bottom again? Because
That's all right. Ask as many times as you need. Don't worry about it. I took this yellow up here and I added a little bit of the cobalt blue to it and the burnt sienna, and I drifted it down, allowing it to fall. Then while this was still wet, the reflection of that, I added the burnt sienna, the ultramarine blue, and the sap green to get this color in here. And I hit it with a spray and allowed it to fall a little bit. Then I warmed it up with more burnt sienna as I came over. And then I went to a lot of the cobalt blue over here with a little bit of that green mixture to emulate what's up here. Does that help?
I believe so. Thanks.
Okay. And once again, remember, you're not copying the photograph, you're interpreting it. So don't allow it to tell you what you need to do all the time. And just remember, keep your washes simple. Don't overbrush them. Put the watercolor down and leave it alone. Because the more you touch the painting, you're pulling off paint.
Can I show you quickly, Dale?
Yes, you can. That's fine. Good.
Do I need to do more or hands away?
No, I would leave it alone.
Yes, sir.
Hands in the air.
Okay.
How are you doing, Vanessa? Okay, good. Wonderful. That's where you want to be. Anybody else ready? How about Mary? I see you walking around.
Just cleaning.
That's nice. Good.
I do love the colors today.
Yeah, it's the same palette we used last week when we were doing the snow scene, and it's just how you use the colors and what you lean more heavily on. So you're learning that you don't need a large palette of color when you're learning.
Oh, I have like from when I was at Dillman's last year, plus all the lessons that I've taken, I probably have maybe 20 something paintings, and they're all the same palette except for maybe a alizarin crimson added in there. But basically it's all the same colors, so
Used
it's
in different
amazing
ways.
how different every single painting is.
I have a student at one of my classes that I teach in person that she's not there right now, but she has a palette of, I don't know, 20 little squares around the edge of her mixing tray, and she fills them all the time, every time, and only uses maybe 5, 6, 7 of them.
Yeah.
And it's like that just confuses things. Only put out what you're going to use and only use what you've put out, and never add another color at the end of a painting because it becomes foreign.
Oh.
It will ruin the painting.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, you don't want to add anything at the end that you haven't used at the beginning.
Oh, that's something to write down, I would say.
Yeah, write that down.
That's a good, I'm gonna write that right this second.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is fun to go to the art store and see all the colors. I mean, you can't,
I have drawers full of colors here, and I use them intermittently, here and there. But it has to call for that color, otherwise, it will not work. And sometimes I will work just in warm colors, like alizarin, cadmium orange, or whatever, all that, and then use one cool color to see what kind of impression I can get. So I sit there and experiment with things.
well, that's what you have to do. You got to experiment. That's what
Yeah, well,
and a lot of times happy accidents happen, but they are accidents.
yes, they are.
Yeah.
That they are. But that's something that is part of the learning curve. And I always consider myself still a student. It's only a different level.
Right.
And I'm always trying to learn something a little bit different and then convey it to the students. And just to inform you, next week we are working without, I believe we're working without a drawing.
Mm.
So we're just working with patterns of color, and we're going to bring the subject matter into focus. So we're working with patterns of lights and darks and colors, and we'll bring it into focus, which I think I did at the workshop on one painting. We didn't have a drawing on one.
That sounds fun.
It is fun.
Can I show you now, Dale?
Yes. Where are you?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay.
Okay. That's good. That's where you want to be. Good, Deborah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay, I'll show you mine too.
Okay, that's fine, Terry. Good.
Okay.
I'm going to come on down the list here. Mary, I've seen yours. Vanessa, I've seen yours. Linda, can I see yours?
Yeah, I'm struggling with this water. On the,
Right. That's fine. Good. Remember that
this
you're...
light's driving me crazy.
Don't worry about it. You're fine. It's going to go a little bit darker anyways.
Okay.
Remember, nature's very forgiving. It's not something that has to be exact. Pat, how are you doing?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'll go to you. All right, that's fine. Good. Donna, how are you doing? That's good, Grace. That's where you want to be.
I keep forgetting I'm on mute, so not darker, just stay there. Thank you.
Just stay right where you're at, yes. Donna, that's fine. Very good. Julie, how are you doing?
No, I'm not getting it today. Today's not good, so.
I think you are getting it. You're fine. You're being too critical with yourself.
I'm not letting it dry. I'm just throwing paint on it.
No, you're doing fine, Julie, really.
Okay.
No, that's fine. Terry, you showed me yours, correct? Okay. Beth, how are you doing?
You know what? I'm not leaving white. It's like I was having too much fun, and then I'm like, oh.
All right. Well, I left the light. I didn't leave white, but I left the light in between from the first wash.
I didn't.
But that can be lifted out later on. It's not a problem.
Okay.
Janet? Could you pull yours a little bit closer to the camera so I can see it?
Okay, but I just finished step 2. So I'm a full step behind, but I have notes and I took a picture of this.
Okay.
So, and now I'm trying to recollect in my head what this step and everything. So this is the end of step 2.
Okay, you're fine there. That's good.
So it's good. I mean, I know I'm going slow, but it's actually better that I go slow.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. Okay, Pat. Okay, great. Good.
All right.
Wonderful. I think everybody's doing well with this. All right, we're going to get started here. And what I'm going to do before I go into the back, I want to tell you what I'm going to try to get across to you. I'm going to travel to the background here, and I'm going to go right down to the shoreline. But what I'm going to do is I'm starting here at the left-hand part of the background and traveling across so that this has a little time to dry. So then when I come into the back of this part of the trees here, this will be semi-dry and it will kind of fade into that a little bit. It won't be totally wet. So I'm going to go from here to here and then from here to here so that the timing of it becomes very important. So I am taking the cobalt blue again because we want this a little bit cooler, and the cobalt blue is cooler. And I'm going to take a little bit of the sap green, just a slight bit. And I always put some over here to see how much I had on my brush because I don't want too much. And I'm going to take a little bit of the burnt sienna, and I need a little bit more blue in there. So I'm not over mixing this, if you could see this. And I'm going to start at the bottom, excuse me, and I'm going to start dry brushing so that I'm allowing some of that secondary wash to show through in primary wash. And I'm going to wash it right up into here. So I'm getting a little bit darker towards the bottom because, again, we're receiving less light towards the bottom of these trees back here. And then I'm adding a little bit of the yellow as I go up because it gets a little bit more warmth up here. Add a little bit more water to it. I'm going to take the toothbrush with a little bit of yellow on it. I'm going to add it up in here. And then I'm going to drag that color down a little bit. So I'm very softly using a very dry brush to make this very soft up here. I'm going to add some of the trees in here so we can see what the trunks are doing. I'm going to take a little bit more cobalt blue and I'm going to add it over here. And again, it's very dry in its application. I can always denote more trees later on, but I just want to give it a feeling of some of the trees at this point. Of some of the tree trunks, but if I do too many or do them too sharp, they're going to come forward on me. I want them to stay back. And then as I go off to the right hand side, I'm much more casual about it because I don't want anything to be too distinct off on that right hand side. So I'm going to take the cobalt blue with the toothbrush and a little bit of that yellow, and I'm going to again spray the bottom of this so it gets a lot darker, and I'm not applying the brush to it because every time you add a little bit too much with the brush, you're overthinking, overdoing things a little bit. Now I'm going to come in with the sap green with that cobalt underneath it, the yellow medium, and a little bit more cobalt. I want to get this on the darker side, and a touch of the burnt sienna. And I'm going to dry the brush off, and I'm going to start by getting this dark enough in here, and I'm starting in the middle of the tree, and I'm pushing and pulling this, and I'm going to add a little bit of the ultramarine blue to it in one part of the mixture down here. And as we go down, I'm getting a little bit darker in here. And I'm going to push it right into what I just painted so that this is still wet a little bit and will soften in edge a little bit more. Then I'm going to rinse my brush out completely, dry it off, and go back up to the top of the tree here a little bit. And I'm still allowing these light holes to show through a little bit more so that you're seeing this filter out a little bit. And I'm going to take my smaller brush and I am going to pull up some of the branches coming out of this. I don't want to do too much or commit myself too far, but I'm going to put a few little leaves up in here at this point, not too much. And I'm going to take the ultramarine blue again and mix it in with that what I have, and I'm going to darken this down at the bottom a little bit more, and then go back to my other brush, and I'm going to make this, starting at the bottom here, make this a little bit darker by adding ultramarine blue and a little bit of the burnt sienna. And I'm going to start right down here at the bottom. This is going to be some of the darker parts of the land. And I'm going to kind of tease this in a little bit. Going to add a little bit more water to it. And to keep this from getting too sharp edged at the bottom here, I'm going to take the toothbrush and I'm going to wet this ever so softly. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to take the brush and kind of soften it a little bit. Then I'm going to add a little bit of cobalt blue to it down in here, so that this part of the grass up here that's going up into there is getting cooler, a little bit softer. And I'm going to start adding a little bit more of the green to the mixture. Again, not too much darkness. And now I'm going to lighten it up, and I added more cobalt blue to it. And I'm going to dry brush this up in here so we're seeing the light poking through here and there on the tree. So we're getting a little bit more dynamic with the values. And again, I'm doing this very casually. I'm not trying to make things too exact at this point, but I am being a little bit more direct in my painting. I'm going to put a couple branches up in here. I'm going to take the toothbrush so that this remains much softer looking up here. Taking a little bit more cobalt blue, and then I'm going to take some water with the toothbrush and I'm going to allow this to soften. So I'm doing a few different things here at the same time with the brush, the spray, the toothbrush, a little bit of water. Then I'm manipulating it as I'm moving through it with the brush. And then I'm going to come down here with some darker darks again with my smallest brush that I'm using. And I'm adding darker darks where it's needed up in the trees. And I'm kind of scratching along through here with the dry brush, allowing a lot of these light holes to show through. It takes a little bit more time to do it. I'm going to bring a couple trees out of this. Add a little bit more ultramarine blue to it. getting this quite dark in here. So I keep on changing the value so it's not the same here, here, or here. It's a little bit change in value. It goes a little bit darker, a little bit lighter. And I'm going to bring out a couple of trees in here. Very casually. And I'm making sure that the trees and the branches are moving in different directions here, so that they're not straight, they're kind of a little bit crooked. Then I go off a little bit more with the blue over here, cobalt blue. So this will recede and not take as much emphasis as the rest of it. And I've not added too many trees in the middle here. I'll do that later on. Then I'm going to darken this with just a very quick wash. And then I'm going to come down to the lighter side here using more of the yellow medium and begin introducing some of that. It's not going to be as light as what's out here on the shoreline, but I still need to allow this to fall back a little bit. And the last thing I'll do is I'll take some of this color that I already have on the palette, and I'm going to add a leafy feeling to some of these trees up in here. And so it doesn't look like it's too sprayed on. Manipulate with a damp brush. Like so. Just very casual. And that's where we're going to end this. So I started off over here on the left hand side of this background, painted a lot of blue, dry brushed all this all the way across, and then I came back and I warmed up this green a little bit more than what's in the photograph because it pulls itself away from this point here, which I'll work on the trees later. Then I came across here with different blue greens across, warmed it up in some spots, cooled it down, darkened it towards the base, and then added these trees coming out of the side with cobalt blue over here, and then just a little bit of grayed down yellow through here. So we're just doing the foliage up in here. And let me take a picture of this. Take it down for a second. Any questions at all?
No, not really, but can I show what I have right now?
Yes, you can.
Okay. See what I can change.
That's coming along nicely.
All right, thank
I
you.
wouldn't do too much more. You're pretty close to where you need to be.
Okay. Then I leave it.
Good.
Dale, along the bank there, under the trees, what did you use? Yellow and, yeah, yeah.
I used the color that I used up in here, Deborah. I used the tree color that had the cobalt blue in it, and I added a little bit more yellow to it. And I kind of put this in shadow a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That hurt my ears, whatever that was. Anybody else have anything to show me yet? Nope? Okay.
I do, I'll show you.
All right, that's coming along nice. Once we get the tree trunks in there to hold up those masses, they'll be good.
Oh, good. Okay.
But don't do it yet.
I'm not touching it.
Okay.
Hi, Dale. I'm going to show you mine. I don't know if I should stop.
Yes, you should.
Okay.
The only thing that I'm going to suggest is you have a big hump here,
Yeah, I see that now.
and try to take that combination I put up here in the trees
Okay.
and put it down in here as it's falling into shadow and level it out just a little bit more, and you'll
Okay.
be fine.
All right.
Nobody will ever know that you had a hump there.
Okay.
Julie, that's good. I like that. Yep, you're fine. Very good.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave it.
Well, yeah, until the next phase. But you've got everything in the right place. You're doing
Okay.
fine. And you thought you had gone off course.
Yeah, I'm in survival mode, I guess.
No, you did fine. That's good. There's times when I think that I've lost a painting, and when I get halfway through and out the other side, it comes back together for me. Not all the time, but sometimes. Especially if I'm doing a new subject matter. I'm going to come along and check because I'm looking at the time and what I need to tell you folks. So I'm going to ask Vanessa to show me what she's got. And you have to smile while you show me. All right, that's good. You're where you need to be. You're fine. Good. Linda, how are you doing?
Oh gosh.
You're fine.
I'm having troubles blending colors today for some reason.
Well, yeah, I understand that sometimes there is a problem with that, but where you have it right now, you're real close to being finished. You could add a little bit of change of value up through here to be a little bit darker than what's in the foreground here, but that's about it. Pat, can I see what you have? Good. You're fine. Yep, that's where you want to need to be. Janet, how are you doing?
I'm on step 2, and the water I just pulled down, so I don't want to. Well, I guess I could pull it up if you want to see it.
Let me see where you're at. Oh, you're catching up fine, though. You're fine.
Yeah, so I just finished that dark
Yeah.
part of water.
You're not-
I'm working on the reflection.
You're actually into part 3, so you're not
Right,
lagging behind at all.
right. I'm in part 3.
Okay, good. Mary, can I see how you're doing? Okay, good. Wonderful. So we're going to get down into the water next, so we get pretty close to being finished. Beth, how you doing?
I'm slow. I just feel like I'm working on a totally different, just my own painting.
That's all right. I was slow when I was a student too, so don't feel bad. Okay, you're fine.
I've still got stuff to do.
Yeah, a little bit. Terry?
No, you don't want to see mine. I showed you before and I messed it up really bad.
Oh, let me see where you're at. It can't be that bad.
Well, I'm trying to manipulate it a little.
All right, well, you're doing fine. That's pretty good.
All right, I'll just leave it for now.
You can't be that critical on yourself.
Hey, Dale.
Yeah.
Can I show you mine?
Yep.
I think I lost some trees. I pulled one tree forward and then the other trees kind of pulled back. And so I just have like a mismatch of what's going on in the.
All right, you need to handle a bigger mass area up in here and not be concerned about too many individual trees at this point.
Okay.
So get this mass up in here a little bit more dominant looking.
You suggest a bigger brush because I was using the small one?
Yeah, use a bigger brush.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You bet. Donna, can I see what you have? That's nice. It's a little bit different scene than what we're doing, but I like it. Which, there's nothing wrong with coming up with a little bit different scene than what we're trying to portray. Not a problem at all. That's nice. I had a student at a workshop 2 years ago. We were doing a swampy scene, and she ended up coming up with a inlet in a bay and a lake out in the background. So I told her to put a sailboat out there, and it worked out fine. It's a matter of what is correct within this frame of reference and how it looks. So not to worry. That's nice. Deborah, how you doing? That's nice. Very good. Wonderful. Okay, because of time, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this so I can see how some of you will finish up. If you don't finish, please don't hesitate to email me what you finished up with. Okay, I am going to work a little bit up here in the trees and then I'm back into the water. So I'm going to take the cobalt blue and some of the sap green here and a little bit of the burnt sienna, just to slightly gray it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dry brush, so I'm drying it off in a paper towel, and I want to form a little bit of these inner darks of the tree here, just a slight bit, bring it down like so, and a little bit up in here, just to give this a little bit more form, so when I put the trunks in, it makes more sense. So all I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit more foliage up here. When I put the trunks in, it will make more sense. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down into the area down below here, and I'm going to put this, giving this a little bit more rhythm down here with a couple brush strokes of this same color. And again, I'm not doing a lot of detail when I do demonstrations. That is always last anyways. And then I'm going to take the yellow medium with that same color, and I'm going to give this a little bit more valley bounce up in here, slight bit, a little bit more here on the bank in the back, like so. Then I'm going to add a little bit more warmth by adding more yellow, and I'm going to start by adding a little bit more down here towards the water, and then into the water very quickly. Now at that point, I'm going to take my smaller brush here that I've been using, and I'm going to take the burnt sienna and a little bit of the ultramarine blue, and I'm going to get kind of a greenish brown here. And what I'm going to do while this is wet is I'm going to put in the darks in the bank, and I'm going to take the toothbrush and let it bleed down a little bit so that it stays and remains on the softer side. So I'm adding a greenish brown to it. And I'm not making a complete dark along the bank. I am kind of putting a little bit here, a little bit there, let it fall down. And when we have tufts of grass come up, and again, letting it kind of drift down as a part of the reflection. So I'm adding a little bit more green in here, just to give the idea of where the bank stops and where the water continues. Now I'm going to take a little bit of cobalt blue here, and I'm going to start with the water back here. There's a darkish look to the stripe back in here that kind of reflects going across. Then I'm going to take my small cat tongue, and I'm going to take the green and the cobalt, or the ultramarine blue, and just a touch of the burnt sienna over here to get it kind of a colorful dark. And I am going to make this quite dark in here and allow it to kind of joggle up and down so that this edge will not be straight, it will remain soft to a great degree. So we have that reflection from up above here. So I'm looking at what's up above, and I'm going to very casually put it in so that it doesn't look too perfect, too contrived. Got a little bit dark here. And if I feel that it's running a little bit too hard edged, I'll hit it with a little bit of spray, just a slight bit. And I'm going to take the burnt sienna and the yellow medium here a little bit. And I'm going to warm this up a little bit out here. Then I'm going to clean the palette just a slight bit. And I'm going to start with the cobalt blue with a little bit of that green in it that I just pulled up. And I'm trying to get a little bit of wave to the reflection. And again, I'm going to go in with the dark, because this is wet here and I need to add a darker value there, right up against the bank right here. So I'm reflecting, I'm looking at what's up above, and I'm looking what's in the picture, but I have to emulate what's in the painting first. Then I'll go back into the bank. There's a few more distinct darks in here, and I don't want to put all of them in, but I'll signify a few of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple accents of cobalt blue down in here, just a little bit. And that will slowly bleed into there. Now, I'm going to come up to the trees up above at this point. And I'm going to take the burnt sienna, the ultramarine blue, a little bit of cobalt. And I want to get a kind of a darkish blue-green, so I'm adding green to this, so the trees will not be foreign to it. And I'm going to take a look at where the main tree is here. And I'm going to put that right in there like so. And I'm going to start with pulling out some of the limbs, but I'm going to allow it to weave in and out of the foliage. And we get a little bit lighter in value as it goes up because it's further away from us. I have one more tree over here that's dominant. And then I'll look at some of the other trees that are in between. And there's small adjustments I'll make here and there with some of the darks down below that have to be put in. But I'm not putting in every little single one. I'm just putting in the ones that are really needed at this point. Because I can tell you, you can spend hours playing around with little stuff in a painting where you have to always step back from what you're doing to see how much you need and how much you don't need. Now, there's a few things that I need to pull out with my brush here and there. So I can take my 1-inch flat brush and I'm going to pull out a few lights here and there that I feel that are needed to be pulled out. And while this is still a little damp, I'm going to run a little bit of a movement line through the water here. Because remember, reflections go down and the water moves across it. I feel we need a little bit more color in the reflection of the water with a little bit more yellow and yellow green. So I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow green here with the sap green and the yellow. And I need to create a little bit more value down here and kind of soften it a little bit. And I think we could put in a lighter trunk here because I wanted something overlapping into this area here a little bit more so it connects better. It's not so separated. And there's a lighter part of the trunk here. So a lot of this pulling out of value in color always happens towards the end, most likely. Then we have a few darks, not as dark as what is underneath the bank, but a few darks here and there that I'll put in. And then we have a small lighter value back here. Bring this out, soften it a little bit. And one or two more things here. I'm going to add a little bit more value change to this back in here a little bit. But this is usually where I slow my process down quite a bit about how much I'm adding or subtracting from the painting. And a little bit more up in here, just a little bit more green, maybe a little bit of green here, just to bring the island out a little bit more. Touch of the yellow. Bring some leaves out on this, but don't allow them to fall a little bit. And let's see where we're at.
Are we going to boulders also?
What's that?
The boulders? The stones?
No, the stones are left out completely. They're not important at all to the composition, because when you put something down in the lower right hand corner that is attracting the eye, you have a tendency of following it out, because we read a painting from the left hand side someplace and you want them to get up and move around in here and back. If I put this down here, your eye would have a tendency of going out, and you don't want the viewer's eyes going out.
Okay.
Since I always tell the students you're in the business of entertaining the viewer's eye, you don't want them falling out the other side. So that's about where I'll end what I'm doing, and you can continue what you're doing, because we have about 15 minutes left.
Can I show you quickly, Dale, and see what you would recommend, what I'm doing?
Let's see what you got. Okay, you need to make your reflection darker up in here. Now, I did not make it as dark as what's in the photograph all the way down. I made it darker through here to emulate this, but you need to make that reflection in here darker.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dale, I'm gonna sign off and watch the video and take my time next time.
Where are you at now?
Terry, I'm gonna just, I want to take my time and get rid of that hump and stuff.
Take your time, watch the video, and send it to me.
All right, that's what I'm gonna do.
You have a great start, so
yeah,
just take your time doing it.
All right, have a good day.
You two have a good weekend.
Bye.
And I'm just going to pull out a few little lights up in the trees here, not too much. But it's a matter of understanding how to get the painting started and to get it at least halfway through the painting process. The rest of it, if you slow your process down, you can work it up to a greater sense of detail in one area. But usually the feeling that you always need to do more will always be there at the beginning, so you have to be kind of careful with that. That was one of my problems as a student. If I thought if I do a few more brush strokes I could make it look better, and many times I ruined it.
Hi Dale, it's Julie.
Yes.
I'm just gonna leave it at this.
Let me see what you got. Let me get down to you, Julie. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay. Oh, that turned out nice.
It's on the dark side, but
But still, it's the values are holding together. It looks correct within its own frame of reference. So it doesn't have to look like the photograph, my painting. It has to be right within your own frame of reference. It looks very good.
okay. Thanks.
You bet. That's nice.
See you next week.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Well, Dale, can I show it one more time?
Sure can.
I'm not so crazy about it.
Well, you've got something that you remember, you got a learning curve here, and I feel that you did fairly well, but it only gets better the more you paint. Don't worry about it. You did well.
Okay.
If you could have only seen mine at the beginning, they were terrible.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
It was. They were terrible.
Okay, I take your word for it. All right, thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Already.
There is no drawing on the paper for next week.
Okay, that's good. All right, thank you.
You bet. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, Dale.
Yes.
Mine's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So I think what I'm gonna do is just start over.
Let's see what you got that's so worse.
Oh, do you really?
Yes, I need to see it to tell you what you need to do.
Okay.
I have to see it, dear.
All right, just try not to laugh too hard. I can only see your expression. You're like, this is what I'm expecting. Okay. I don't know what I tried to erase it, and then I tried to get darker, and I tried to use a bigger brush all at once. And I think I just need to
try
restart.
it again. I would.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. The reason why I say don't work on that one is that you're chasing the gopher down the hole, and you won't find the end of it. So you're better off starting over when you get the video.
Okay.
And you'll do fine, because use this as a practice, as an idea, and then don't look at it while you're painting.
Okay.
Because you could follow yourself down the same rabbit hole again. You don't want to do that.
No. All righty.
It's not as bad as you think it is, but yes, you need to start over.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay, not a problem.
All righty. Well, we'll see you next week.
All right, stay warm.
Okay.
I know you will.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Dale, this is Linda. I'm going to watch your video too, because I want to do that last part and take my time, because I'm struggling with.
You know, you have something very nice going there.
Okay.
Don't the background back here in the far end got a little bit too dark, which means it comes forward a little bit more.
Right.
But it's within its own frame of reference. It's not as bad as you think it is.
Okay.
But you did all right.
All right. Yeah, but I want to go slow because I feel like I'm.
I know.
Blending.
Yeah, that's all right. You just need to work more on the water the next time around.
Yeah, that I need to do that last part that you're working on in the detail. So, okay.
All right. You did all right, though.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Have a good weekend.
You too. See you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Dale, can I show you mine right quick?
Yes, you can, Deborah.
Okay.
That turned out nice.
I think I'm lacking in the water and the bank, and I don't know.
Well, it can use a little bit more consistency in this part of the water, right in here.
Okay.
To where it doesn't have a lot of light chopping it up. So this is a little bit more solid, and you go out to here and it becomes more open.
Okay. All right.
You did fine.
Okay, and I was looking for a previous video of the one with the sunset, and I couldn't find it.
The one with the what?
That's the trees and the sun set.
Was it done in this session or previous?
This one, this session, maybe 2 sessions ago.
Did it have the farmhouse?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. No,
Farmhouse.
it's just a lot of.
Before the farmhouse.
Yeah.
That would be the fall scene. That was over
It was
the
just
water.
Yeah.
I will have Marilee send that to you again.
Okay.
Not
All
a
right.
problem.
Well, thanks.
You bet.
Bye, everybody.
All right, you have a good weekend, Deborah.
Dale, I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna keep working on it.
That's good. What you need to do on this, Pat, was level off your bank a little bit more because you have it kind of go up and then come down again. Keep it, it's on a 10-degree angle maybe.
Okay.
And if you could level that off, and then what you have here, the reflection of the light down below it, try to lessen that and have a little bit more dark down here.
Oh yeah, I haven't even started on that yet, on that dark.
All right, well you can manifest this here and shape it a little bit more.
Okay, will do.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right, you have a good weekend.
You too. And thanks for your help this week.
Oh, you did well on the second one. It really came out nice. It was much cleaner looking.
Good. Yeah. Well, it's just gonna have to do. I did all I could do for my first try, and
that's all right, because we have a tendency, and I also do the same thing. Even on a rough, I have a tendency of laboring it a little bit more, and then I decide I need to simplify. But you did well.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.
I stopped at step 3. I finished step 3, so I'll do 4 and 5 this weekend.
Okay.
But there's where I'm at.
All right, good. You're doing well. It's all there. You just need to finish it.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey Dale, it's Beth.
Yes.
I'm going to start over because I have parts that are kind of doing okay, but then I just made it way too green and muddy and.
Okay, well, it's not muddy. It's you have that dark mass in the middle there that
Yeah.
is a little overworked, and we need to spread that out a little bit more across that land up in here.
Okay.
But you haven't gone too far astray at all. Trust me. It's just it's a matter of, because I know there's a time limit on you, and you'll always, when you're learning, you'll always feel rushed.
Right.
And this is the main reason why we videotape this and send it out to you, so that you can clean it up, rework it completely if you have to, or fix things. And I feel that this helps the student quite a bit. That's why we're doing the video.
Yeah, I kind of want to start over too because I don't like my yellow green that like on your painting it's so nice and bright, and mine is like army green.
Okay, well that's all right. But that's the main reason why we do the video, is that you'll have it to rework it if you wish, or to learn more from it, because you can't get it all in one setting. I know I did not as a student, but this is, I think, a big learning tool for this class, is that video.
Absolutely.
After the fact.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep pausing it as needed and just go slow.
No, that's perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, you have a good weekend.
Too.
You're on mute, Donna.
Hi, Dale.
Yes.
I'd like to show you my painting. I had a lot of fun with this today.
Good. That's part of the process is having fun with it. Okay, that's very nice, Donna. It's different than the scene somewhat that we painted, but within its own frame of reference, it's working very well.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it.
It's coming together more and more every time you paint. I'm seeing a big improvement on your painting, and that's what I feel is very important.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of background with the drawing in that, but I've really had fun with
Yeah.
watercolor.
No, you're doing fine as far as I'm concerned because you're making it all come together much better than you did when you first started.
Oh, good.
That having that control over the watercolor is very important. And next week you won't have to worry about a drawing.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
It'll be a different fun experience in trying to get a picture to come up out of a blank piece of paper.
Oh, I'll look forward to that.
So do I, actually. I do it a lot.
Well, that's because you're so artistic. You just see it. You see it without it being in a drawing. You just look out and see it.
But I couldn't do it when I was a student.
Oh, well.
I'm just trying to have you see things. I did a whole workshop 2 years ago up at the Peninsula Art School that we did no drawing, we did all patterns, and they were coming up with some really neat things.
I can't even imagine. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Good, good. I'm looking forward to it too. Wonderful.
So do we get an idea of what it looks like?
Oh, you'll get the picture, but there's no drawing involved. No, I won't make you go blindly into the woods.
Sorry, I just couldn't imagine. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. And then there were just two. Mary, are you awake?
Yeah, I had to let the sprinkler guy in, but this is the picture. It's wet, so
it's nice. It looks a little bit more like a marshy, swampy area, which is kind of cool.
I had to redevelop it a little bit, but
that's all right. You did well. And you always come up with something different, which is what I like, than what I'm doing here, and you come up with it in your own way. So I like what you do.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm just waiting for this blob in the center to dry so that I could do a little bit more dark in the water like you did.
Well, if there's a blob in there, you might see Steve McQueen.
Yeah, he might be in that swamp. Or his car or motorcycle.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I will see you next Thursday for our
great
fun project.
Have a good weekend.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye. Vanessa.
Yes.
You're looking good. You don't look like you're getting anything, which is wonderful. We've been worried here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
You feel as good as you look?
I don't look that good. I never did.
Oh. You're so full of it.
That's the truth. But no, I'm okay.
All right, good.
Yeah.
You're just probably a little bit bored out of your head.
Yeah, I want to leave the house.
Well, you could go out for a walk, just don't go anywhere.
Or go for a ride.
Or you can go for a ride in your car.
Yeah.
That's totally legal.
I know. I'm going to do that later, I think.
You need to get out and walk a little bit. You need to go out in the car and drive. Whatever you need to do, go through a forest preserve. But you don't want to sit home and
think.
Well, I was reading about it last night, and it's just awful because it just affects your whole nervous system. It goes up into your brain.
But Vanessa, that's so few people that have that kind of.
No, this is Chuck has that.
It's not that common, though.
Chuck has it like that.
Yeah.
And driving him a little crazy. And he can't sleep, and the taste thing is driving him crazy, and
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure if I don't know how long it takes to
he may not
manifest.
get it back.
If you come in contact with it, how long is it?
2 to 14 days.
2 to 14 days. Well,
So I'm thinking till Sunday at least. If I don't get it, I probably have a better chance.
you probably won't get it.
And,
You've had.
and you know, you're not Chuck, and I don't know how healthy Chuck is as far as eating. He seems to be more nervous all the time, and it seems to me that when you're like that, your defenses are lower. So you're not.
Don't over worry yourself. It doesn't do you any good.
Well, I'm not that worried.
All right.
Good.
Good.
I'm more worried for him than I am for myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I can understand that.
Because, you know, I'm not there to see what he's really doing.
Can you Zoom with him?
I don't know if he wants. He's such a dope sometimes, but
Well, guys can be that way. That I do
we
know.
talk like 2 or 3 times a day, and that's good.
All right. Good.
You want to see my painting, even though I'm going to try to.
Yeah. Just a minute.
He just walked away. Let me. Wait a minute. He just walked away, Vanessa.
Oh, he did. Okay, Mary, you tell me.
Just a minute. I'm spotlighting Dale.
Spotlighting.
Yeah, that's so now you can see you and his painting. See, do you see that now?
Oh yeah.
No, this is you, Dale.
I know.
This is Vanessa.
I know. I can tell the difference. All right, let me see. Oh, that turned out nice, Vanessa.
Really? Oh, it's beautiful.
Really nice. Wonderful.
Thanks. I'm still working on it, though.
That's pretty.
Well, do a little bit and then look at it. Don't work too long on it, too far at
Right.
this
Okay.
point.
Okay, but like under the, I gotta gray up some stuff in the water, I think. The reflection?
Hold it up again. You need to bring the dark down to the border on the left-hand side about a third of the way through.
Okay.
The rest of it's fine.
Okay.
That's pretty.
Well, thanks.
It feels like water, and that you've got a little shoreline with it kind of undercuts underneath the.
Yep, it looks good
marsh.
though.
Well, you did a really good job about the reflection and how you took that slower, it seemed like, or something, but that was cool.
I tried to make that part slow for the students because they get confused. The simpler you handle the reflection, the better off you are.
You know, it would be cool if you talked about what your focus is in the picture, what you were going to plan on, what your focus is.
Okay.
Like your most busiest piece, you know, like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll do that next week.
I don't know if that's something, but I don't know if you can next week with the one with the.
Oh, I can.
Well, I know.
We're going to be using a little gouache next week too.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Who knew?
Yeah, this is cool. I like this one.
It's pretty.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Good.
Want me to see it tear it in half?
Oh, Dale.
Oh, Jesus.
Here we go.
Like, oh my God.
That's the other side of the river. It's cold.
That's the one in Mars.
Wow. That's amazing.
What? Oh.
Just
Very
get
cool.
it back into the picture.
What?
He slid it out of the picture. Did you take all your photos?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Good.
still have to take
You
this.
take the last one? Yeah, you didn't take the last one.
No,
He'll do that after he goes away.
after I go away.
Okay. Well, I'll let you guys go.
All right. We'll talk to you
All right.
tonight, dear.
Alrighty.
Take care, baby.
Thanks. Thanks for
Go for a ride.
Yeah.
Come home, have a rub and coke.
A rub and a Coke?
No, a rum and coke.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Poppy say bye-bye too, but she's sleeping.
Yeah, that's cool, Dale.
It's coming along.
You're gonna put a person in there?
Yep, just a foggy person right about here off center.
A little silhouette.
Ghost?
Yeah, a
Yeah.
ghost.
Ghost.
The ghost of the Wisconsin River.
It's gonna be
His arm like this.
big.
Yeah, Bigfoot.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You take care, dear.
Thank you, you too.
Will
All right.
do.